Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank Mularcik, and in this video, we're going to be talking about my Roth IRA investments for 2022. So I just finished maxing out my Roth IRA a few weeks ago, and so I wanted to talk about all the specific investments I made this year and sort of what my thought process and reasoning was behind those investments. If you find value in my videos, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. This is Frank Mularcik. So this right here is a spreadsheet that kind of shows some details of what exactly I did in my Roth IRA this year. So I have two different Roth IRAs, one of them with Fidelity and one of them with Vanguard. And those are honestly my probably favorite investing platforms overall. The one with Vanguard I've had a while longer. I contributed to it some before I turned 18, and then I opened up the Fidelity one maybe last year or the year before, and have been contributing to it a little bit more, but I'm definitely still contributing to the Vanguard one as well. So you can see all of my transactions here. If anyone wants to look at them, I basically just put that in there to kind of showcase that if anyone wanted to look at it. So basically started out in January, buying some stocks in my Fidelity Roth IRA originally, and then we finished maxing it out on May 2nd. I deposited all the funds before May 2nd, but that's when I actually made all the investments. So this is kind of a summary over here. Basically, I only have 4 investments, really only 3, in my Roth IRA. So in my Fidelity account, I invest in VTI, which is a Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. And I also invest in Store Capital, which is a real estate investment trust. And I do have other holdings, but I just didn't add to any of them this year. So in terms of VTI, I added about 6.5 shares worth $1,400. And then for Store Capital, I added about 54 shares worth around $1,600. And this position is now at 100 shares. At some point in the future, I would probably want to start, doing some sort of covered calls on them. But at this point in time, I'm actually a little bit negative on my cost basis. So I don't want to do covered calls until the stock is closer to my cost basis and I can sell calls above my cost basis. But I want to be kind of conservative with that because I don't want to be, selling and buying stock every single month in my Roth IRA, even though it doesn't matter because of tax purposes. I just don't want to be incredibly active in that account. And the main reason I own Store Capital in my Roth IRA is because it's a REIT, and dividends from REITs are taxed less efficiently. And so when held in a Roth IRA, you basically don't have to pay any of those taxes. And just for reference, I do own some realty income as well in my Fidelity account, but I never really thought they were at a good valuation over the past few months, so I didn't really add any. And I also own 1 share of Berkshire Hathaway. And then in terms of my Vanguard Roth IRA, I invested some in VOO, which is a Vanguard ETF that tracks the S&P 500, and I bought about 5.25 shares of that this year, which are worth about $2,000. And then I also bought about 8.8 shares of VTSAX worth about $900. And VTSAX is a total stock market mutual fund. It's essentially the same exact thing as VTI, but it's a mutual fund, which means there's a $3,000 minimum investment, and you can only buy it through Vanguard. But with VTI, it's just traded on the regular market, and there's no minimum investment. You can buy fractional shares if your brokerage allows it. So that's why I own those two, even though they're kind of basically the same thing. So you can see in both my accounts, I contributed about $3,000. And this one just doesn't quite add up because of some rounding probably, and I might have like 2 or 3 cents left in cash in my Vanguard account at this point. I'm not sure. And in terms of what the accounts are valued at, currently my Vanguard account is a little bit under $18,000, and my Fidelity account is a little bit above $15,000. So this Fidelity account has grown super quickly over the past few years because I maxed out my Roth IRA in 2021 and then this year in 2022. So that's about $12,000. And then, well, all of that didn't go to my Fidelity account. Probably around 7,000 of that went to my Fidelity account, maybe 8,000. But I also, have some 401ks from a job in high school and then a job in college. And, if I only work there like 6 months maybe, then I basically, when I'm done working there, I get the distribution and just put it in my Roth IRA. So that's why that account has been able to grow pretty quickly. And then the total amount of both my Roth IRAs combined is just under $33,000. So that's super awesome. I honestly didn't realize it was that high. I remember probably just like a year ago, it was at like 25,000 for the combined, and now we're already at 33,000. So that's pretty awesome to see. So overall, I try to be pretty conservative in my Roth IRA in general. The vast majority of my investments within my Roth IRA is just in those two index funds, the total stock market index fund of VTI or VTSAX, and then also the S&P 500 index fund of VOO. So I'd say probably about 75% of my total Roth IRA funds are in those two index funds. And then I also own just about 100 shares of Store Capital, and I own some Realty Income, probably, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head if I had to guess, between 30 and 50 shares, and then 1 share of Berkshire. So overall, it's pretty simple strategy, which is to buy and hold index funds and then buy some REITs as well for the tax advantage of the dividends. And so, that's basically what I'm doing in my Roth IRA. It's a pretty simple strategy, like I said. So let me know kind of what you guys are up to in your Roth IRA. I find that's super interesting. And let me know if you guys are going to max out your Roth IRA for this year or if you have already. And let me know also if you have a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, because at this point, I think a Roth IRA is definitely a lot better for me since my income is very low. So, the tax benefit I would get from a traditional IRA at this point is very low at this point in time. So I could definitely see myself transitioning to contributing to a traditional IRA maybe in 5 or 10 years. But at this point, I use a Roth IRA. So if you use something else, let me know as well. But just want to thank all of you for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one.